Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Kristen White, clinical psychologist and mom of 3, and this is the Mom Degree, where we provide support and tools to help women feel less crazy and be more effective in their role as moms. All right, so we've just finished up 10 episodes on self-care. We are shifting gears today into parenting. We're going to talk about what do our kids need from us, how do we shape their behavior, how do we discipline well. We'll talk about all kinds of things. But don't forget, you can't do this on an empty tank. So if you're feeling overwhelmed by this stuff, go back to self-care, right? And start there and then come into all this parenting stuff. This is meant to make your life easier, but you can't do anything well on an empty tank. All right, enough about self-care. So parenting. Send me your ideas, your things you want to talk about. Today, I want to start though with just what do I consider the basics? What do I consider most critical to parenting as a clinical psychologist? There is so much vying for our attention, you guys. You know this. We know this. When we're home, we feel like we need to be doing the laundry and the dishes and cleaning up and making dinner. And for me, I got jobs. I should be returning emails and returning phone calls. And, you guys have all these things too. And then with the kids, I'm like, oh, okay, well, of course I've got to feed them and diapers and all these things. But then I want to work on reading with them, and I want to practice throwing with them, and I want to take them to swim. And, there's so much. My kids are little. I don't know how you guys do it that have teenagers. Oh my God, it overwhelms me to just think of the taxi service element. Anyways, so in the midst of all of this, in the midst of there being so many demands, how do you not get overwhelmed? Or what do you do when you get overwhelmed? Maybe you do self-care. But what do you focus on with your kids? What do they need from you most? What is most critical? That's what I want to talk about today. So what is most critical, I think, as a psychologist and a mom, is the attachment, the bond you have with your kids. That is most critical. That is the number one thing you need to focus on. You don't have to do it perfectly. Thankfully, we've talked a little bit about good enough. You just have to do it more of the time than not, but you need to focus on that bond with them. And I want to tell you a little bit about what we know psychologically about this and then how to do it, okay? So what we know psychologically is that, and this comes from both a lot of theory and research, is that during the first few years of life, roughly 3 to 6 years, kids form basically what we call a style of relating to other people based primarily on their interactions with their caregivers. So usually mom, but it could be dad or grandma or others too. Depending on how they interact with their caregivers, how those times go, as a whole, not just in our bad moments, but as a whole, how those things go, kids form styles of relating. Basically, what these styles are, there's 4 of them, but what they are is they're basically beliefs about oneself. Am I worthy? Am I good? And about other people. Will they meet my needs? Are they safe for me to talk to? So we form these really foundational beliefs about ourselves and other people in the first 3 to 6 years of life. And then for most people, maybe I would have to go back and look at the research, 70, 80%, these styles, these beliefs are consistent into adulthood. If, they can be changed. If something crazy traumatic happens, they can get worse. And if we really work at it, they can get better. But for most people, without some major thing, good or bad, these styles stay consistent from baby, toddler, little kid, all the way up into adulthood. And what's even crazier is that we can tell by looking at a mom, they've done research on moms that are pregnant, and if they measure and look at the style of relating that this mom has, they can tell with pretty good accuracy, again, 60, 70, 80%, what the style and beliefs of the baby will be. So we take our style of relating, our beliefs about ourselves and other people and relationships, we parent our kids out of those, we basically pass them on, and our kids carry them forward. So if you want to know how is your kid going to relate to their friends in high school or to their spouse when they're an adult, it's starting now. It's based on the interactions that you have with them now. Now, I'm sorry, I don't think there's anything more critical than that. There's also, this is the one thing that nobody else can provide to them. Their teachers can help fill in and teach them how to read. Don't get me wrong, you guys, literacy is huge. I think you need to be a part of that. But if you get a busy week and you don't get as much time to read, their teacher can fill in that week and you can pick it up next week. But there is nobody that can provide these attachment things but you. You are the one. It's based on primary caregivers, okay? So how you relate to them is how they're going to relate to themselves, their friends, their significant others, probably the rest of their life. I think that's pretty core foundational stuff. I mean, think about it. Where does your sense of well-being and your sense of happiness and peace come from? Does it come from how well you play catch? I mean, that could help form self-esteem. There's lots of good uses for that. But I'm going to guess that those foundational things come more from what you believe about yourself and other people and how you relate to yourself and other people. So this is core. This is critical. This is number one thing we need to do with our kids, is work on this attachment, this bond, okay? So there's 4 kinds of attachment styles. One of them is actually not that common. It comes more from like trauma and stuff. So we're going to talk about 3. And then I'll tell you how to get the good one. All right, so the first one is called security. Security is basically a kid who feels good about themselves. They feel like other people are trustworthy. They can relate in healthy ways, okay? So this is good. This is what we want. The second one, there's actually different names for it, but we're going to go with avoidant, sometimes dismissing. So avoidant is somebody that at their core might feel okay about themselves, but they don't really feel like other people are trustworthy. So as a result, what they tend to do is they tend to kind of be very dismissing and like really repressing and shove down a lot of their emotions and their needs. And avoidant people are often really good, like they're really good at being good and they're really good at working. Avoidant people can be workaholics. This was me in the past. Avoidant people, man, we don't need a lot from other people. We don't necessarily get real emotional with other people or maybe even ourselves, but we seem like we got it together because we're good. We're just working hard. The problem is at our core, there's something missing. We don't necessarily feel 100% great about ourselves or really able to connect and be truly intimate in good ways with other people. And I don't mean that like sexually, but just true intimacy and connection and closeness, okay? So there's secure, there's avoidant. Then the third style that's common is basically ambivalent, preoccupied. And this is where someone feels, they basically, they feel like other people are good. Other people, like, they need other people are okay, but they're not. And so they do a lot of, ambivalent people are kind of all over the place. In one moment, they're like really needy and emotions are really intense. And then in the next moment, they're like, dismissing and disengaged. I mean, they're a little bit all over the place. But these are the people that feel a little more volatile and they're expressing their emotions, but it feels like too much. Now, this isn't just a kid that hasn't learned how to regulate their emotions yet. That's different. But the adult, so this, it's like a 15-year-old who's like permanently a 15-year-old. It just feels like their emotions are so intense and you can't ever satisfy them, and they're just really intense all the time. So those are our 3 styles. So we want, obviously, our kids to feel good about themselves and to feel like other people are safe and trustworthy, and to be able to have healthy interactions, healthy sense of self, healthy interactions with others, be able to establish intimacy. Okay, so how do we do this? Again, it's through the bond they form with you, their caregivers. And there's really just 2 things you have to do. You need to be attuned, available, and responsive. That's it. You just have to basically see their needs and respond. I mean, that doesn't sound like a lot, but it can certainly get lost in the midst of the craziness of life. And notice I said needs. So this doesn't mean everything they ever want, every mood they have. It's not that you have to be overly crazy responsive every moment, but that when they have needs and emotions and things, you need to pick up on those and then respond to them. I think this is easiest to see in little kids, although again, it's true in all ages. So when we have a baby, this means that when they're upset, when they're starting to get hungry, we see that and we get them a bottle. When they're starting to get tired, we see that and we put them down for a nap, right? So we see their needs. We're able to help discern them even when they're too young to tell us what it is they need and want, and we respond. And then as our kids get a little older, this attachment figure, we kind of act like we're still this safe haven, we call it, when they have needs and they're distressed, they'll come to us. But we're also the secure base from which they can explore. So this is the toddler now who's going out and exploring, and then they come back to check in with us, or they turn around to check in with you, right? That's this attachment, this bond where you are safe. They feel safe enough that you're there, safe enough that they're okay, that they can go explore, And you can kind of even maybe reference them a little bit in that. And then when they get distressed, when they get scared, when they get hurt, they can come back and they know they'll be comforted. That's the kinds of things. It's going to look different for a 15-year-old, of course, but these are the kinds of things we're talking about. We're looking for their needs, we're aware of them, we're attuned, we're available, and then we respond. We don't have to do it 100% of the time. We don't have to do it perfectly all the time. Sometimes maybe we think they're frustrated and they're really sad. We think they're hungry and they're really tired, right? It doesn't mean we do it perfectly all the time, but we're tuned in, we're trying, and we're getting it right more of the time than not. And when we get it wrong, we're taking the time to repair, to see in that moment, now they're sad, they're upset, and they need us to respond to those emotions, right? So that's it. These would sound like the simplest things, but you guys, in the midst of the crazy life, it's so easy to be like, yeah, I know you need something right now, but I'm doing this. Yeah, I know you need something right now, but blah, 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 okay? So that's what I want you guys to focus on this week. That's your mom challenge. First of all, 2 parts. I want you to think about, can you identify your style? Whether you're secure, avoidant, or ambivalent, can you identify, based on what I've told you already, your style? Is this maybe a growth area for you? And then how good are you at this available and responsive stuff? We're going to build on this in future weeks. Next week even, we're going to talk about how to use some of this just basic attunement to shape kids' behaviors and get them to do the things we want them to do. I'm kind of excited about that. But first, I think it's important we just start with this basic. This is what your kids need from you guys. When things are crazy, when they're overwhelming, just stop and just be available, just be attuned and responsive. That's what they need from you guys. Trust me, research shows it will drastically impact the rest of their life. Okay, I feel like there's so much more I want to say about this, but I think those are the basics. I hope this helps you guys. This feels really just like kind of theoretical and small, but it is so critical that I hope you really take it to heart. Let me know if you have questions. Let me know your styles. Let me know how you do with this. That's your mom challenge. Post some comments. And much love and many blessings. Until next time on The Mom Degree.